So Romanticism and Gothicism as literary tools are very humanistic. And so there are some very humanistic themes in the stories that we read in this episode. Both of them contain discussion of self-harm and suicide. So we want to issue this as a trigger warning. And
If you or anyone you know are suffering from thoughts of self-harm or suicide, we will have resources at the end of the episode and in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening.
hi, my name is Drew. I'm a sociologist.
I'm Kate. I'm a media production specialist.
And welcome to, is this the last episode of season 1?
This is the season 1 finale.
Welcome to the season 1 finale of Everyone Should Read.
This is the podcast where we read books, plays, sonnets, short stories, essays, and we talk all about them. We tell you if we think that you should read them. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Sometimes we don't.
But this whole season has been about Gothic literature.
And it's been such a fun season.
And
it's been a great time.
Some really good books to talk about today. And I hope you listen to the whole season because everything that we talked about the whole season long comes up in today's episode.
Absolutely comes to a head today.
This was intentional.
Yeah, by design.
Yeah, yeah. We've had wonderful reviews and lovely comments, and thank you all so much for watching and listening. This is the only episode that we are recording that we didn't record in advance.
Yeah. The debut has come and gone. It is already out. And this is the last episode that we are recording of season 1 after season 1 has been given to everyone. And the reception has been amazing.
It's been so lovely. Thank you all so much for the support. It's been so wonderful. We're so grateful. And it was crazy of us to record the entire season except for this episode before we launched.
Yeah. Because if it had gone badly, then we would be
feeling
really down for this recording.
Yeah. But no, it's been so lovely, so supportive. And we are so excited for the next couple of seasons. We have a lot of fun things coming up. We're so excited.
We are listening to what everyone is saying. We are seeing what you're suggesting. We are trying to factor them into our reasoning process.
Yeah. And people have asked us for book lists. And here's the thing about a book list.
Right.
The number of books that I read for this season that did not end up in an episode, or we ended up changing what a theme was going to be or removing an episode entirely happened 5 separate times.
It's true. There are books that get scrapped. There are books that I have purchased and we have not read. There are some that I ended up reading anyway, even after we scrapped it, because it's so good.
Yes.
But it's a very organic process.
Yes.
And so things are slot off all the time.
Things move around. And so what we don't want to do is give you a reading list and then not give you an episode.
And stab you in the back about it.
Yeah. But The House of Usher, Carmilla.
Yeah.
Hill House.
Weep Woman Weep was one of mine.
The Gin Waits 100 Years.
Yep.
All of those were on my list, and I have scripts written for all of them. We might get to them eventually. I would love to talk more about all of them.
Absolutely.
But frankly, we didn't know if we were going to have time or if anyone would listen. So thank you for listening. We're so excited, and season 2 is going to be twice as long.
It's going to be and the books that we tentatively have on board for season 2, I am really, really excited about. I don't want to say the name of the season yet. We have some stuff coming. We will eventually announce it, but
it should be coming in a couple months. Yeah. We do have some interstitial and bonus episodes coming in the meantime, look out for those. You won't be missing us too long. We'll be around.
We'll stay around.
But today, final 2 Gothic stories that we are bringing you are The Picture of Dorian Gray and
The Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I'm so excited.
I love a split, a 2 worlds wrapped up in one person kind of vibe. That's just good writing.
Yes.
It's good writing.
Today is very man versus self.
Absolutely.
And I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I believe yours was published first.
It was, I believe, 1885.
Yes.
So let's get into it. Yeah, let's get started. So, The Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We were literally talking about this just before we came in to record today. And we were talking about how these 2 books are just our full circle moment. It definitely touches on everything that we have mentioned throughout the history of this podcast. I say history, the past couple of months.
Yeah, this is like episode 8.
And specifically for Gothic literature, it has all of the same tools, all of the same abstraction and mystery. The atmosphere is there, but also the interpersonal, like the internal themes are there.
Mhm.
So the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I'm going to tell you about it.
Yes.
So it is everyone in the interpretations of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we look at them and it is always, we know at the very beginning, or at least like the first third of the story, that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are the same person.
Mhm.
Similar to the other books we've talked about in this podcast, the original audience had no idea. That was a surprise. That was the twist.
Yes, and part of things being part of the canon of pop culture is that
Mhm.
the spoilers are lost.
Which is
They're
a
like,
bummer.
Luke, I am your father moment. Like,
Yeah.
we know who the father is.
By now, for sure.
Dracula, we know.
Is a vampire.
Yes.
And
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we know are the same person.
we know, but like at the characters had no idea. The original readers had no idea.
I love it.
And the protagonist is actually not Dr. Jekyll, because people usually think it's Dr. Jekyll and then Mr. Hyde is his evil alter ego who's trying to take over, and this is like his journey. The protagonist is a reserved and boring little lawyer man. He's really sweet. His name is Mr. Utterson, and he is the keeper of Dr. Jekyll's will. And in his will, it says that if I die, all of my belongings should go to one Mr. Hyde. And he says that if I mysteriously disappear, then all of my belongings should go to one Mr. Hyde. And Mr. Utterson, Esquire, he's like, this is terrible. And when he was presented with this will by Dr. Jekyll, he literally said to him, he was like, this is awful. These are terrible terms. I don't even know who this man is. Like, that's weird.
Someone's going to kill you for the money.
Like, you're leaving all of your earthly possessions, all of your like title, your extraordinary. Dr. Jekyll was born wealthy. All of your wealth, you are leaving this to this man who I've never met. And also, what? And so he's walking one day, Utterson, this lawyer, with a friend of his, a really close friend of his. And they walk past this house. Again, this is where another one of those pieces of Gothic literature comes up. It's gossip. They're gossiping. They walk past this house.
Love a gossip.
We do. They're walking past his house. It's like a little bit decrepit, a little rundown. And his friend that he's walking with, he goes, "Oh my God, do you know about the man who lives in this house?" And
the way that would immediately hold my attention.
Exactly. Same, literally. I'm sure that we have done that walking before.
We do this all the time.
So
there was one time I was giving Drew a ride home.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Can I put on an episode of Normal Gossip?" We were only in the car for 20 minutes and the episode was 40 minutes long, and we stayed in the car 20 minutes after our ride was over so we could finish the episode. We love gossip. We love knowing things. We love a little story.
And gossip is immortal. As long as there have been like humans together in one place, there has been gossip. And
It's so good.
Of course it comes through in Gothic literature. And so they're walking and he goes, "Do you know about the guy who lives in this house?" And Utterson goes, "No, like, who is he?" And he's like, "Okay, so setting the scene. It's late. It's dark. I'm walking. There's a little child running. And there's this awful looking man." It's great. He goes, "There's this awful looking man who comes around the corner. And this man, physically, nothing wrong with him. Like, he's short, he's squat, he looks like weird. Like, he's short, but like physically, nothing wrong. His vibes are the worst vibes I have ever felt." His friend is literally saying, like, from down the street, I'm feeling just the worst vibes. I'm thinking, like, maybe I'm a bad person because I hate him so much, but I'm looking at this man and he sucks. In my heart and soul, he sucks. And then this... Yeah.
Okay, but we talked about this earlier, where like this whole story is like being in that friend group where you know that one person who like the vibes are off and you cannot prove it,
Yeah.
but something is wrong, and like slowly everyone else in your friend group agreeing with you that the vibes are off. That's this story.
It is.
And it's such a
is.
gratifying feeling.
Because everyone feels it, but everyone's like, "No, maybe I'm the
Maybe
drama."
it's just me. Maybe it's just me. And then suddenly the group gets together and you're like, "No, it's all of us."
No, we all agree that this person's off.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong and weird.
And you can't prove it.
But you feel it
But
in
you
your
get
guts.
there.
So this is what happens. This guy sees Mr. Hyde walking, and there's a child, like a small child, little girl, walking down the street the opposite direction. He sees the little girl, does not stop, does not move out of the way of this little girl. I feel like every like normal, well-adjusted adult like sees a child and like first, yeah, they're gonna move, but then second, they're gonna be like, "Where are your parents? Like, are you okay?" Mr. Hyde tramples the child. That's what he chooses to do.
Insane.
Just steps over her. The little girl is like lying on the ground. She's crying. She's like, "Oh my God." She's not like hurt. She's just got like, stepped on by an adult. That hurts. But she's not like wounded. She doesn't have to go to the doctor or anything. And he like leaves and he just keeps walking. And Mr. Utterson's friend, his homie, who he's walking with, he's like, so then I stop and I'm like, what, you just stepped on a little girl. Like, what are you doing? Mind you, like, this is 19th century England. And like, even in like 21st century New York, someone's going to stop and say, the fuck is wrong with you? And so he's like, well, what are you doing? And then the girl's family comes running up and they're like, what's going on? And they pressure this man who they've only just seen, Mr. Hyde. They like pressure this man into saying like, okay, well, you owe them some damages or something. Really crazy the way vigilante justice takes place in this story, because like there is no court proceeding for this particular thing. They're just sort of like, run her some money. And Mr. Hyde,
Mary Shelley did not write this one, guys.
no courtroom dramas, just straight to the point. And Mr. Hyde goes, fine, like whatever. Goes into his home that they're like standing in front of when he's telling the story, comes out with a check. And Mr. Utterson is like recounting this because he's so thrown off. He's like, yeah, the check is for a Dr. Jekyll. And like everyone knows Dr. Jekyll. Everyone loves Dr. Jekyll. Like what an upstanding, like well-meaning, sweet man. This guy who is like gross, the pinnacle of, why does he have a check signed by Dr. Jekyll? That's weird. And like they give them the money and they like go to the bank. They're like, okay, well, this is like fraud or something. But they go to the bank and the bank's like, no, this is upstanding. This is fine. Like, here's the money. And Utterson is with his friend. He's like remembering all of this later, but Utterson is with his friend. His friend tells him this and he's like, no way. And he goes, yeah, and he lives in this house. And so then Utterson is like, oh my God, like the Mr. Hyde from the will. Why does Dr. Jekyll know this gross little man?
And why does he already have the money?
And like, I don't know why.
Because my bank, fraud alert, immediately.
There are times when, this is an embarrassing confession, I eat out a lot because cooking takes so much time. I like to cook when it's necessary. I like to cook when it's with people, with my partner. But if I'm just like by myself, I'm like, I do not feel like cooking, I will go out and eat. There was a time when I would go out to eat so much that I went to the grocery store once to buy groceries.
Shut up.
And I'm in the cashier line and I pay and it says it doesn't go through. I'm like, that's weird. And I get a call from the bank and they're like, we think someone has stolen your card and is trying to buy groceries. I was like, no, thank you so much. But no, that's me. Thank you.
You're like, I'm trying to be a good person and cook for myself for once. And the bank is like, couldn't be you.
I'm like, this is what I get for trying to change.
Yeah.
This is what I get. I have bought like steaks, fancy bottles of wine, jewelry,
One of my girlfriends went out of the country and had caviar, did not get pinged. Bought gas station coffee and got pinged. And she was like, so my bank knows me.
They're like, excuse me, ma'am, this is beneath you. Are you okay? Blinked.
Are you well? And she's like, I am, in fact, on a road trip. Thank you so much for checking.
So anyway, before electronic banking, they get the money and everyone's like, fine, sure, whatever. And so then Utterson goes to a homie of Dr. Jekyll's, like one of their mutual friends, whose name...
These are not the homunculi.
These are not the... Gosh, if you've listened to the first episode, if you've been listening since the beginning, I'm so sorry. Don't get confused. I'm just using it colloquially now. But these guys, he's like meeting with a mutual friend. He's like, hey, you know, what's up with Dr. Jekyll? Like, have you seen him? And the guy's like, I don't talk to Dr. Jekyll. Like, yeah, he's cool. And like, yeah, we're friends. No love lost, like for sure. But also... I disagree with him. And he's like, on what? Like, is something wrong? Like, do you know something about Mr. Hyde? And he's like, no, I don't like his research methodology. And he's like, okay, well.
Academics.
It's just like academics, of course. And it's like, whatever.
We all know that guy, though.
We do. I have lost friends over differing opinions and like praxis and epistemology, for sure.
Yeah, cite your sources, people.
Cite your sources. And this is open dialogue, god damn it. Anyway, so he's like, we don't talk because we like differ in our research. And he's like, Utterson's like, okay, yeah, but do you know Mr. Hyde? And the guy's like, no, I don't know who that is. And he's like, whatever, okay, fine. And so some time goes on, right? And he's like, okay, I really want to know who Mr. Hyde is. He goes to ask Dr. Jekyll. He's like, okay, I'm so sorry. Bringing up the will. I heard a rumor. Who is Mr. Hyde? Who is he? Like, he seems weird. And like, is he blackmailing you? Because he had like 100, or I can't remember if it's 100 or 1,000, but like we'll lowball it. But 100 pounds is still a lot in 19th century England. A lot.
Yeah,
of money.
we needed to inflation calculate that because that's crazy.
And my inflation calculator, I think, only goes back to like 1919. So like I can't even imagine. And so he's like, no, like he's not blackmailing me. And if I don't want to talk to him anymore, like I can definitely be rid of him whenever I want. Like I'm fine. Please drop it. And Utterson's like, okay, like I'm gonna drop it, but this is really weird. Like, who is this man? He's really creepy. You're friends with him. I don't know why everyone hates him. I'm confused. So Utterson also does make a brief attempt to like go try to find Mr. Hyde. He's like, hey, are you Mr. Hyde? And Mr. Hyde is like, you know, like, that's the only way I can describe him. He's like rude, he's slovenly, he's like inspires this hatred and disgust. And Mr. Utterson is like, okay, you know what? I don't want to know. Like, I'm a lawyer. I'm just gonna mind my business. Like, professional mind my business here. And so then, like, some time goes by, like a year goes by, and another one of his clients, he's been knighted by the monarchy.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
Sir Daniel, I think Carew, Sir Daniel Carew, or starts with a D, Sir Carew. We'll focus on Sir Carew, and he's like, hey, Sir Carew's dead. Someone's like, Sir Carew's dead. And he's like, that's one of my clients. Like, my client is dead. And a servant saw Mr. Carew walking, saw Mr. Hyde beat him to death with a cane.
Stop.
Yeah, I know. No, I know. No, I know. Saw Mr. Hyde beat him to death with a cane, contacts the police. And so the police like bring in Mr. Utterson and they're like, hey, you know, this is one of your clients. Do you know him? Like, what's going on? Like, who is Mr. Hyde? Like, rumors has it like, you know, a Mr. Hyde. And Mr. Utterson's like, yeah, I know Mr. Hyde. Like, this is weird. Okay.
And he's
okay.
the worst.
And he's the worst. And he sucks. And like, he murdered someone. And they're like, yeah, he murdered someone. And so they're like, they're like looking for him, can't find him. They go to Dr. Jekyll and they're like, hey, like, are you hiding a murderer? Is he blackmailing you? Is he going to kill you? What's going on? Dr. Jekyll's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I cannot believe this. Like, don't worry. I've washed my hands of him. Here, I have this letter, which we were talking about this earlier. In Gothic literature, like, you got a letter, and that's, like, as good as scripture.
The
from
power
on
of a
high.
letter.
It's in writing, so it must be true.
Insane. Insane.
And they, like, believe it, too. He's like, I've got this letter. He says, like, we'll never see him again. He says he's, like, disappearing. No one will find him. He'll never bother us again. And they're like, well, if it's in the letter.
Meanwhile, my great-grandmother's name is written incorrectly at the records of Ellis Island.
You know
so,
what I
like,
mean?
why are we just trusting these things?
Like, I swear. I wonder if that's how so much of, like, culture gets muddied and things like that. Like, we have now the immortal digital footprint, and then there was, of course, the, like, extremely mortal, just, like, last 30 years, maybe, written footprint, but that had so much time, or so much weight at the time. And so they have this letter, and Utterson is like talking to a homie of his clerk. He works for him, and he goes, "Hey, you know, I don't know what's going on, and it's just so strange. And like, here, I have this like letter from Mr. Hyde." And his clerk is reading it, and he goes, "Mr. Hyde?" And Utterson's like, "Yeah." He's like, "This is Dr. Jekyll's handwriting." And Utterson has seen the handwriting in the will, and he's seen the writing of this letter. He's like, they are clearly different. And his clerk is like, "There's a different slant to it, but like, this is the same handwriting." And so now Utterson is confused. He's like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. Some time goes on. And he's like, something's amiss. Like, something's afoot. And like, we're trying to secure Mr. Hyde. And then Mr. Hyde's servant comes a-calling. And he's like, hey, something's wrong with Dr. Jekyll, my master. Like, something's wrong with him. I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen him. He won't come out. And like, I'm worried. And so Utterson's like, okay, well, like, I'm coming over. I'm going to see what's going on. Let's see what's happening. And so he goes over there, and the servant is like, come here. And so like, I don't know how to describe the architecture of these homes. They're so strange, but they come up a lot. And basically there's like, he's a doctor, and there's like an operating theater in like his home. Like,
in his house?
I know. No, I know. Anyway, exactly.
The English are so odd.
Not only are they so odd, but like, I want a solarium. You know, all I want is an extra bedroom.
I just want a library.
An operating theater? Are you kidding? I just want a sunroom where I can like take my tea and read my novels and whatever. Literally whatever.
I mean, sometimes we forget that like the characters in these stories are so rich.
Like the idea of the English middle class is so, their way of life is so inconceivable to us now. Inconceivable.
Well, especially now.
Especially now. Like the idea of like someone saying like, oh, well, you know, like, I don't have a lot of money. I do have like 2 lifelong servants, but like, I'm not wealthy. And it's like, okay, well, that did not translate.
Well, and so like the English class system is so different from what we have here in the States that like it does lend itself to confusion for a lot of readers.
Absolutely.
Because they have like lords.
Right.
And that is a class that you can't break into.
Yeah.
And so like the working men who have enormous sums of money are never going to be considered or treated like the aristocracy, no matter how much money or more money they might have.
So they're fixed in the middle.
Because they work.
Right.
Which is where you get like Victoria Beckham's like be honest moment where she like her dad has a Rolls Royce, right? And she's talking about being middle class because no matter how much money her family has, she'll never be at the top of that class system because she wasn't born into it.
And
And so then we have the middle class who work and are incredibly wealthy. And then they have, and I say they because we are obviously very, very American. We've been
Nos.
called out for being very American. And
No.
I'm fine with that.
Deeply fine with that. This is, again, I remind you, like, I am currently applying to doctoral programs. My research is in American identity formation. Fight me with your hands.
For those of you who have never seen Drew stand up, Drew, how tall are you?
I am 6 feet tall, roughly 200 pounds or approaching 200 pounds. And like, we will go toes over my research. Like, we will.
Yeah, for everyone who's been watching all season long, Drew's a foot taller than me.
We
You
always
don't
do,
know
like, a
it.
little- we do a
You
dance with the
don't
mics
know
before
it
each
because of the
recording
camera
session.
angles, but Drew and I have a foot difference.
Absolutely.
Big surprise.
One time we were coming to the studio and there was someone who was like kind of being weird and like following us, and I sort of looked back and he was like, and he like kept his distance,
Mhm.
and then kind of started shouting anti-colonial tea, but like that's
He wasn't wrong, but he was having a bad day.
he was having a bad day. Different conversation,
Yeah.
different conversation, but like there's a difference. There's a difference. I will fight over my work. What were we talking about?
Colonial.
Damn it. Oh, right. The English caste system.
The English caste system, and then it got to colonialism, and like nothing makes me more rah-rah American than British people coming after Americans.
I
like
swear to God. I swear
9
to
times
God.
out of 10, I'm so embarrassed by my country, and then you come for me, and I'm like, no,
You're
I'll
like,
beat up that
actually,
pickpocket.
like, I
Don't
take
try
it.
me.
Happily throw him down some stairs. Happily, readily. We say as we are literally reading English literature. We can talk about that. Find us on TikTok. But we'll talk about that more.
Yeah.
That's where you'll get the
Yeah,
extra
when
bonus
we say
content.
we have bonus content coming, we mean it. We're having so much fun with this. We have strayed so far.
Okay, so the class system in England, it is so like inflexible, and so this idea that Dr. Jekyll is middle class is like, yes,
It's
because
mind-boggling to Americans, but the English reader understands it better.
understands it better. And my mom is like reading Cast by Isabel Wilkerson for the first time, and she's obsessed.
Your
And so
mother's
she's like,
so lovely.
I love her. I love her to bits. And she's just like, wow, like it's so remarkable, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, mom, like T, like it only gets deeper from here. She loves a footnote now.
Don't
But
we all?
yes. So Utterson's in the home. The servant is like, hey, like knockety knockety. He like knocks on the door and he's like, hey, Utterson's here to see you. And he tells Utterson to be quiet. And this voice comes out and he's like, I'm not in. Tell him he can't see me. Like I'm not available. And he looks at Utterson and he goes, does that sound like Dr. Jekyll? Does that sound like my master? He doesn't say Dr. Jekyll. He says, does that sound like my master? And Utterson's like, no, it doesn't. And he's like, exactly. And then Utterson's like, maybe he's sick. And the butler is like, no, like I've served him for 20 years. Like this is my lot in life. Like I know his voice. You think I don't know his voice? And they're like, okay, something's wrong. Basically, it comes to a head. He shows him this note. He says, hey, he's apparently looking for this particular drug. He's like been sending me on these frantic errands all over the place, like looking for this drug. I have not seen him in that time. I don't know what's going on. He reads the note and it says, hey, he went to a pharmacist. He's like, the drug you sent me is like not of the right cut. Like it doesn't have what I'm looking for. Find that batch that you had before. It's urgent. Like this sucks. The pharmacist got angry when he gave it to him because it was insulting. And so he threw it back. That's the only way that the butler was able to read this note. Because Utterson asked him, he's like, how do you have this note open? Because again, like the socialization of those class structures they're drilled so deep that this idea that he would read the note at all, even if he's like concerned about his master's well-being, is like untenable.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only way that he would have this note to even lend this part of like driving the story forward, this narrative element, is still within the bounds of class structure. It's that it had to be thrown back at him by somebody who was frustrated, which is really interesting in the way that comes through. Anyway, fast forward, they break in, they find Mr. Hyde. They're like, what have you done with him? Where's Dr. Jekyll? They kill him. They find some notes. They like ransack the apartment. They find some notes. They get some documents. He goes back to his home and he reads these statements. And he reads the statement of the doctor who was a friend of Dr. Jekyll, and he said they disagreed. He had visited him one more time before this final confrontation. He visited him and he said he looked terrible. He was like, he looks really bad. He looks like he's in shock. Like he looks aged. His hair is disheveled. He does not look composed. This is one of those classic Gothic moments where someone is in fact dying of shock. And so he like gives him a statement, and then 3 days later he dies. And he has the statement. He has not opened it. And he gets the statements from Dr. Jekyll's home, and he brings those home. He reads all of the statements together. He reads the statement of the doctor, and he says to him, he's like, hey, I need you to get me like this particular concoction of materials. Like I need this, and I need you to give them to my colleague, Mr. Hyde. Okay. And the doctor writes this statement where he's like, yeah, Mr. Hyde came here and he was being really weird. He was really rude. He took the concoction and he had the concoction. He said, are you I know you're curious. I know you're dying of curiosity. Like, will you just let me have this, or do you want to see what happens next? And the doctor's like, well, I have to see what happens next. And he drinks it and he turns into Dr. Jekyll. And the guy is like so freaked out by this. He's so freaked out by this that gives them the shock that will eventually kill him, right? And then, so he reads this statement, pretty solid. And then he reads Dr. Jekyll's statement and he's like, basically, I've been dabbling in the transcendentalist science, alchemy. Same thing as Victor. It's like, I've been dabbling in alchemy. I'm doing the research and like I figured out a way to distill my evil, my hedonistic, my vile desires for my regular self. The author does not elaborate on what these vile desires are. It's left so vague.
Okay, RLS.
Like, classically Gothic, of course.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course things are left to the imagination. And yeah, it's the not knowing that makes people so uncomfortable and all of these things. Also, for posterity, I'm grateful because it leaves a lot of room for interpretation. And you can sort of make those desires whatever they are. I always kind of, again, we were talking about this, I always kind of advocate for a fun retelling of this. I need like the sort of super Victorian, reserved, subdued Gothic interpretation of the evils of homosexuality. And I want Mr. Hyde to just be like a drag queen. I feel like that would be so fun, like as a critique of these the posterity of these stories. I think in a contemporary setting it doesn't work as well because we are already dealing with the sort of villainization of drag queens. But like I think a Disney-esque satirical character, because we love the villains, we love Jafar, we love Ursula, we love Scar, and I kind of want to see that brought back, and I would love to see it in like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of take.
I mean, there is a musical.
There is, and it's good, he's still like heterosexual and kind of like, well, not kind of, he assaults a woman, like he's awful. So they take it in the wrong direction. But in this story, he basically reads it and he says, you know, I've been able to separate my like base desires, which are obscure, and they manifest as this other character. His name is Mr. Hyde. And because I have been suppressing them for so long, he is stunted. Like he's not strong. He's not big and strong like me. And so he spends a lot of time just sort of stepping in and out of this character. He's like, this is an entirely different person. Forensic science does not exist. Handwriting analysis does not exist. Like, this is functionally a different person. Whatever he does, I cannot be held responsible for. But as he indulges in that more, because he's indulging in that side of himself, that creature, that entity grows and grows and grows. And soon they're sort of
being
like
fed. It's like beloved.
Fed. It's like oh, that's so tea. Oh, you ate that so bad. Absolutely.
Have I been sitting on that all day? Yeah.
Have
yeah,
you? Oh, and I fear. Perfect deployment. 10 out of 10, no notes.
Thank you.
Nan, one note. But so he's feeding it. And of course, this is a conversation about like, you know, the stringent social order of the time and like what you must repress. Again, this is that Gothic literature coming out again, and it's speaking to that sort of abstract nature of how one must behave. And it talks sort of a lot about like secondary socialization and how socialization, we'll get into that later, but how it acts as an externalizing force that keeps you in your place. And so Dr. Jekyll is like, you know, I've worked very, very hard to maintain my status which is upheld by the other people around me. And so in that way, like this version of myself is entirely separate. But when he steps into that version of himself, he feels that he can lean into it. But in that way, he feeds that version of himself until he doesn't need the drug and he just sort of starts slipping into Mr. Hyde. So now there's this battle because they are both evenly matched, sharing the same body. And interestingly, Mr. Hyde is the distillation of all of his what he calls evil, like just pure evil. But the Dr. Jekyll is the self. It is the self that what Freud would call is the ego, as it is like a fusion of the superego, which is the social aspect, and the id, which is the human aspect, where they meet in the middle to form the presented self and the performed self. And Dr. Jekyll is the ego, but Mr. Hyde is like the id, the evil id. There is no like pure good version of himself that comes as a foil to Mr. Hyde. And so that's really interesting. And he doesn't understand why that happens. And he also says, like, as I continue this research and this exploration, I know people will outstrip me. I know there is more to be said about the divisions of human nature that I am only just towing the line of. Crazy statement. Like,
so good.
So good. And like such a, not even like a throwaway, like it's in there and it holds a pretty hefty place, but it's near the end of the book, you know, and it's in one line in his recount. I'm like, like, okay. But so basically he's like, you know, he starts slipping back and forth between the two, and then he realizes that he can't transform back into Dr. Jekyll.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. You know, he's like fallen so far into this. He's like, you know, I have to take like really potent versions of the drug to change back. The color change is not happening the way it's supposed to. Like the chemical reaction isn't occurring. And like, basically I have learned that in that first collection of materials, alchemical materials that I used, there was some impurity that enabled me to make the change in the first place. And I don't know what that impurity was. And all of the other versions do not contain that impurity. I'm stuck like this. And that's how he dies. He literally says, like, this is the end. And if Mr. Hyde, like, transforms while I'm writing this, he will destroy it because he hates me. But he also fears me because if I kill myself, we're both dead. And so he hates me a lot. And he's coming, and I can feel him coming. I'm going to finish this message. I cannot dawdle. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to hide it. And I hope they get it when they come to find me. But this is the end of me. I'm Dr. Jekyll. And that's how the book ends. You know, this is the end of me. So I like this version. I like this version a lot. I really, really like this version. I like it better than the adaptations. That's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
love it.
It's really good.
And I love that we paired these two together because the id and the hedonism and these multiple personalities within one person are like so... They're so...
It's just such a good
They play
conversation.
together so well.
Yeah, they do.
Yes. So I have Dorian Gray, and what everyone already sort of like knows about Dorian Gray is there's this painting.
Right.
And he doesn't age, but the painting does. And the story does take place over the course of 20 years.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, there's a big time jump.
Okay.
At the start of the story, he is 17. And so much of the secondary socialization that we talk about comes from this character, Lord Henry, also known as Harry to his friends, who thinks of himself as like a psychologist. And we talked in an early episode about using your knowledge and your sociology and your skills for good. And this guy's not doing that. He's just sort of like playing around with like a little hint of this here, little recommendation there. And he's he's a lord.
You know? Yeah.
And he speaks in such a way that he's so charming, he's so effervescent, and like he has aged, he is older, and he sort of understands the game better than anyone. He's incredibly witty, and I think so much of him speaking as a character is so much of Oscar Wilde.
Yeah.
Because so many of like the brilliant witty quotes that are attributed to Oscar Wilde are Sir Henry or like Lord Henry quotes, which is so fascinating.
Reminds me of Bram Stoker.
A little bit less self-insert, but it's very, very much like that clever, that wit, that the quick wit that Oscar Wilde is known for comes out so much in Lord Henry.
It seems almost like he used more strokes of himself in painting this particular character than he did others. But he used bits of himself in all of them.
All of them, yes. But we have this character, Basil. It's written Basil, but it's a British character, so I'm assuming it's Basil. Thank you.
We're ragging on the English in this episode.
You gotta. Also, they wrote it. Well, no, Oscar Wilde is Irish. I'm wearing my Irish sweater.
Speak on it.
In honor of him. His mother, a famous poet. His father, also an academic. But his mother baptized him Catholic in protest of her like Protestant landlords. And that was the only thing she had to do with Catholicism. But it was like her sticking it to the man sort of moment. And that was the only religious interaction that he really had. And I kind of love it.
Ostensibly Catholic out of spite. Spite Catholic.
Yeah. Spite Catholic in protest of a Protestant landlord. And that's like his only religious experience.
What an eat. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I agree.
Truly. Love that for her. We're not covering the Protestant and Catholic issues in Ireland in this episode. And anyway, in any capacity,
Martin
we're
Luther
not
was
taking...
in the room with us. There was no schism in the room with us. But
no.
Different podcast.
No. We might get there in other books, but not in this one.
Tea.
So we've got a character, Basil, who's so obsessed, so in love, so enchanted by Dorian that he wants to paint him. Basil is a painter. He's created several other works that feature Dorian as like famous historical characters or gods or like romantic characters. But he wants to do one of Dorian as Dorian. And this is the painting that, you know, launches 1,000 ships, really. It is where the story begins. It's where it starts. And Henry is there and Basil's like, I want you to leave. I don't want you to meet Dorian. You're going to corrupt him. And that is all Henry needed to be like, I'm definitely staying.
I'm going to correct him.
I need to meet this boy. I
Yeah.
need to see what's going on. Dorian is this sweet, angelic, gorgeous creature who's so innocent. And all it takes is Henry being like, it's a shame that you'll always be young and beautiful in this painting, but that's not how life really works. For Dorian to be like, what do you mean?
Oh, no.
What do you
That is, first of
mean?
all, that's fucked up.
Diabolical.
Second, the fact that you cannot just age, remain graceful and beautiful for the rest of your life. Like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds
Henry's like,
insecure,
your life
Henry.
is really easy now because you're young and you're rich and you're gorgeous. But like, eventually people are going to stop handing you your wins. When you're not attractive, your life is going to immediately become harder. And Dorian is terrified.
As someone who plans to be beautiful their entire life, well into their 80s, I cannot relate. I have no idea what that sounds like. That sounds unfortunate.
Yeah, that sounds unfortunate for him.
I have a lot of really hot old friends. Just putting that out there.
Yeah. My grandmother's aged beautifully. I'm not worried.
Mm-hmm.
But also, their recommendations are sunscreen and drinking lots of water. So I do that. I do that. I take their advice on how to age well. What I don't do is wish that the painting would take on all the ugliness of my soul.
Oh.
Which is what happens.
He wishes.
He out loud claims it. The second that the painting is done, it is spectacular. And Dorian's like, no, I will never look this way again. I will be older tomorrow than this painting will. And I hate that.
There is something so interesting about this. Okay.
Also, it takes like 10 seconds to corrupt Dorian. He was like very much easily led down the path to being a terrible person. It took virtually no prompting on Henry's part. I do think that is part of the issue. Like, Dorian throughout the entire story takes zero responsibility for anything he does. And part of it is because he's so pretty that no one holds him responsible for anything because they're like, look at him, he's so good, he's so sweet. And we talked in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof about pretty people problems where no one takes Brick or Maggie seriously because they're so pretty that their problems can't be that bad.
But this was only particularly in one of the adaptations, right? And then in another story,
I mean, it's in all of them, but it's really very prevalent in the like Paul Newman, Elizabeth Taylor version, which like they are so pretty. Truly.
And then Anika Noni Rose. So
literally,
what can you do? Yeah.
When they just keep casting gorgeous people, you understand that pretty people problems.
We need a version with some uggos.
I don't think it would play as well. I think it'd be played very differently.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, you look at Paul Newman and you look at Elizabeth Taylor, and though they were incredibly gorgeous, very talented individuals, they had very difficult lives with a lot of problems. So pretty people privilege is a thing, but pretty people problems are just as prevalent.
Well, and that's something that's so interesting, this like idea, because like when people say like pretty privilege, it's sort of they're almost there, right? They're like, they're speaking to like what it is to fit into like the hegemonic beauty standard. And like hegemony is like a demographic within a certain social structure that has the most amount of privilege.
Yes.
And so like when someone is like, oh, you have a pretty person problem, it's like, well, because the institutions are designed in such a way that like you can weaponize the implicit biases attached to that institution, yes. And like those implicit biases work for you, yes. It doesn't make like the human experience any less difficult.
Exactly. Exactly. Like someone can be like, oh, well, I am exactly what everyone thinks beauty should look like, but that doesn't save me from the rest of the way the world treats anyone.
Well, and we were literally talking about this on the train earlier today where it's like, well, just because someone is like very pretty and striking, like that can be very dangerous.
Yes.
It can be extremely dangerous if you don't know. And you have to know.
You have to be self-aware. You have to be just as smart as everyone else in the room or you're going to be taken advantage of.
And it's really easy when you're pretty.
Yes, because you assume everyone's going to be nice because they're always nice to you. And so why would people be leading you astray?
And also, like, all someone has to do is walk in the room with you on their arm and suddenly, like, you are a piece. You're a set piece in a game. Like, suddenly that person has more power in proximity to you. It's weird.
Yes.
It's weird, but that's how it works.
Yes. And so part of the problem is that Dorian knows that he's beautiful, but he doesn't understand the power that comes along with that. And he, reminder at the beginning of the story, he is 17. So he's just, like, ultimately stupid. No.
Actually, they don't get one.
No. And I mean, your brain's not even done developing until you're 25, right?
If
and
that.
so but it becomes a serious problem. He goes to this theater that's like not very good, and it immediately becomes obvious that Oscar Wilde's a bit of an anti-Semite, and that's a separate issue. He's also wildly misogynistic.
Yeah, like these are two of the things that came out in this you were saying.
It's disappointing because when I hadn't read this one in so long that I hadn't really like fully absorbed that information because it is a quick read. It's not a quick read the same way that Nathaniel Hawthorne is a quick read because Nathaniel Hawthorne is like a staunch feminist and believes in like women and their independence and their mind. And Oscar Wilde is like, these women are just like the worst. So that's fun.
Yeah.
But Dorian goes to a theater. He falls in love with this actress and decides he's going to marry her.
Okay.
He is 17 years old. She is also 17. They are like, oh my gosh, we're in love. And everyone's like, you don't even know his real name. And she's like, I just call him Prince Charming. Like, truly, there's very little depth there.
Unfortunately, we have all been there, but ew.
Everyone's been dumb and 17 and thinks they're in love before.
Absolutely, yes.
If you're lucky, you grow out of it.
Yeah. If you are lucky, that's so real. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mature and become an adult and find out what real love actually is.
And that's great. Better than you could have imagined.
It's so much better. If you're 17 and life is hard, know that it gets better.
So much better.
If someone tells you that high school is like the epitome of like, oh my gosh, this is the best it ever gets, know that their life is very difficult.
Yeah, kind of get away from that person.
Yeah, that is...
Go somewhere else.
Yeah, they're bad news bears. So Dorian's like, I want to introduce my friends Harry and Basil to this girl.
Okay.
Because I'm going to marry her. And they're all like, don't marry her. This is a bad idea. Even Lord Henry is like, oh... I fucked up. But he understands that if he tells Dorian, he's like, oh, don't do it. Dorian's going to do it more. Dorian's that friend, right? And so Henry's like, Basil, don't say anything. If he thinks you disapprove, he's just going to do it. Like, we need to let him come to this idea on his own. Sybil is the name of the actress. She plays all of these Shakespearean characters. And she's brilliant. She's wonderful. She's spectacular. Her talent is the reason that Dorian falls in love with her. Also, she's gorgeous. So, like, there's that.
Win-win.
Yeah, for a moment. And then she's like, I now know what it is to be truly in love. All of these characters are a farce. And so the night that Dorian takes his friends to go see her, she plays it, like, completely terrible. Wooden, awful, like... Girl. The entire audience is booing. Everyone gets up and leave. Dorian's friends get up and leave.
Like, I'm booing.
It's so bad. He goes behind the stage at the end of the show, and she's like, I did it terribly. Did you love it? And he's like, no, I'm so embarrassed of you that I fell out of love with you. Like, he got the ick so bad that he's like, calling it off. And she's like, no, but you don't understand.
Yeah, like his performance art. Like,
yes. She's like, I now know what real love is, and so I know that Juliet was not really in love with Romeo. And he's like, cool, and I was really not in love with you. I'm out of here.
Okay, I'm sorry, but like, the boos are a part of the performance.
Yeah, and then she pulls a Juliet.
This is not a postmodern performance. No, this is very pre-modern. In fact, it's the 19th century, isn't it?
She pulls a Juliet. And this is our third episode that is going to start with the suicide trigger warning. Yeah.
Well, so
Gothic literature is just all up in half your characters dying.
It is. There's a lot.
The number of characters that die in the books that I read is so high. It is shocking.
Well, because we were literally talking about, you said like there's a lot of death, like verbatim. And,
yes.
Like, it sounds like a bit, but like.
Well, Dorian is directly and tangentially involved in the death of like 5 or 6 characters over the course of this book and his life. And he doesn't live very long.
I mean, if you count Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde as like 2 separate people, they both die. Sir Carute dies. A doctor dies of shock. Like, just like, so
yes, it's dramatic.
Right.
It's atmospheric. It's telling a story. It's creating painting a bigger picture, whatever. Everyone dies in Gothic literature.
That meme about like giving a Victorian child a Cheeto puff and it'll kill them. That's where this comes from.
Okay, but Victorian children were also like licking the lead, and they had
really straight opium.
Yeah, the cocaine was in the Coca-Cola. Like, what would kill a Victorian child is just like Lysol.
Yeah. True.
Like, the Lysol wipe would just absolutely shock
You're
them.
so real. Especially because they're like mostly diseased anyway.
Yes. Yes, they had rickets.
What is that?
It means that, like, their body had, like, so few nutrients because they were, like, so impoverished and in such terrible conditions that they were dying just from, like, existing.
Oh my God.
These are the ones who were, like, working in factories.
Oh.
The, like, pretty ones with all the privilege and all the money, like, were still on all sorts of barbiturates and everything else.
Absolutely.
Truly crazy time to be alive. I mean, the reason that we have the FDA is because they were putting chalk in milk to make it look white because it was, like, so rancid that they were trying to, like, shelf stabilize it. So, like, there's never a rule or a law without a reason.
There was some exploitation somewhere.
There was some exploitation somewhere, and that's why we have the law or the rule
It's
now.
deep.
Truly. Like, we have, what is it? The Third Amendment? Is because the redcoats were, like, living and taking over homes.
I don't want to detract from the episode, but, like, have you seen those memes where it's like, never thought the Third Amendment would come in handy? Except for right now.
Yeah, Third Amendment stands are really having a moment.
Like, I'm so sorry, Miss Third Amendment, for ever dying.
But it was because the redcoats were kicking American colonials out of their home.
And here we are.
So anyway, that may or may not stay in the episode.
Right, yeah.
This is getting wildly off track. Anyway, Dorian's ex-fiance pulls a Juliet, and this is the first time that he sees a change in the painting.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
He's 17, and suddenly his painting has this, like, really hideous, awful smirk on it. And he's like, no. No. The painting's supposed to be beautiful and young forever. And this is when he's like, but I'm beautiful and young. And the painting suddenly doesn't look as beautiful and young. Over the course of the story, he commits truly horrific sins all up and down Europe, all through England.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, unknown crimes that are committed and, like, things that aren't sort of hammered out detail-wise, including, like, why his wish to make the painting take on his, like, sins works. I got all of the loose magic systems this season.
You did. Real muddy.
Real muddy magic. But we're telling a greater story.
It's true.
Yeah. So anyway, he ends up killing people. He gets people addicted to opium. He's doing all sorts of things. And over the course of 20 years, as he doesn't age and stays young, people start to lose their faith in him. They lose trust in him. And the number of people that they're like, oh, he's committed heinous crimes. I've seen it. And, like, people will get up and leave the room when he comes into the room.
Ooh.
So by the time his 38th birthday rolls around, in the original edition, postscript, I guess I should have started with this, the story was originally published in a magazine. And then it was published again as a novel with 6 additional chapters added. The original publication was so gay. How gay was it? So gay that it was used as evidence in the trial against Oscar Wilde to prove that he was a homosexual. And when I first heard that, I was like, get over it. Whatever. I got, like, 7 pages into this book and I was like, oh, it is so gay. Like
judicially gay.
Like, truly proven in court gay.
Like, indictably gay.
So anyway, the revision that Oscar Wilde did for the second print for the novel tried to make it less gay. Still gay.
Still gay? Hot dog.
But the initial publication, crazy. How much, like, Basil was really in love with Dorian.
You know, because,
and how much he idolized him. And then there's all sorts of, like, we don't know why all these young men are so close with Dorian and then, like, fall out of favor, stop being friends, or suddenly leave when he enters the room. Like, it's not explicitly discussed because, again, it was illegal in England at the time. But then there's, like, women that claim that he got them hooked on opium and all sorts of other things. And Dorian engages in murder and blackmail and is the reason that multiple people end their own lives and all sorts of things over the course of the story.
What a terrible young man. Okay.
Yeah. And all the while, the only friend that he really maintains is Lord Henry. And Lord Henry at one point refers to himself as the creator and Dorian as the created, but he says that, like, the creation was born too early. Like, it wasn't really done cooking when it got released. And so, like, things are not quite right with the social experiment that Lord Henry is sort of performing on what was the young ingenue and now is like almost a 40-year-old man.
So what then, who does culpability fall on, do you think?
Oh, so here's the thing. I think you should take ownership of the crimes that you commit.
T.
Yeah. And all of his other friends were like, hey, you're doing bad things. And he's like, no, I'm not. Lord Henry said that it's fine, so it must be fine. He's so smart. He's so wise. It's like they all went to Oxford.
Like please.
They were all educated at the same academy. Why are you taking one man's word over everyone else's? Is it because he's allowing you to justify your poor behavior?
Right.
Yeah. So, like, when Sybil dies, when all these other characters die, and so many people die, but I don't want to give spoilers because so much of, like, what people know about the story is just
the portrait
changing. I want people to read the book, and I want them to get out of it, like, the shock of all of these other characters and what happens. So many trigger warnings. Oh my gosh. But truly a wild story.
Well, so, I mean, even just thinking, one of my favorite things about, like, a good story is, like, how flexible and pliable it is.
Yes.
Like,
well, and Dorian is the id of that ego.
Right.
He is the id.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like, we talk about, and Oscar Wilde, brilliant author that he is, so witty, so clever. I mean, he's, like, directly quoting Dante, but he's also talking about hedonism being the opposite of Puritanism, which, if you want to talk about Puritanism, go back to our episode with the Scarlet Letter, because we get way into that. Ichabod Crane, yes, Sleepy Hollow, all of that. We talk about how Puritanism came. They were these people who left England in the 1600s, and they were like, England is too hedonistic.
So repressive they were. They were, like, very, like, self-contained,
well,
very repressive.
And at the time that this is written, Puritanism is sort of becoming in vogue in England. And there's this argument for hedonism as, like, the opposite of that, as giving in rather than being constrained.
Which is in keeping with the Gothic theme.
Truly. Yes. It's fighting against nature and culture. But then you have these characters who just, like, take it too far, who it's not like, oh, well, I think that I should be able to live a passionate life. It's like, I think that I should be able to commit crimes and get away with it. There's a difference.
It's like, because, oh, well, it gives me some kind of feeling, and I'm supposed to be leaning into my feelings, right?
Yes.
And that's where, again, that superego, the superego is supposed to be, like, the good of the collective, exercising, like, social control over the individuals.
Yes.
And Adam Smith originally writes the argument, like the social contract theory, and it's like, you know, in order to enjoy collective freedoms, you must give up individual liberties for certain. And there's a lot to be said about that. We do not have to we don't have time.
Yes.
We don't have to. But in this case.
But it's so fascinating because Oscar Wilde directly calls out ego and psychology and sociology, Puritanism, hedonism. He talks about all of this. He's a very self-aware and very intentional author. So, like, when you see the breadcrumbs dropped, know that he placed them gently.
They were not accidental.
Right on the path for you. Brilliant writer. So Oscar Wilde is creating this incredible argument for morality in a way that it's like, what takes things too far? And are you allowed to socially, psychologically experiment on your friends? Probably not. Probably not a great idea.
I don't do that, for the record. I think that's weird. And in fact, whenever my friends are like, what are your sociological observations about me? I keep them under lock and key, and they fight me, and I never reveal it because it's weird.
No,
it's weird.
It's like, maybe you should talk to someone about that. But, like, that's about as far as it goes. You don't manipulate the people around you just to see what happens. That's crazy.
So
it's also like an ethics issue.
Exactly what I was going to say. I remember when I was first studying philosophy in undergrad, all of these philosophers are sort of talking about, like, the moral implications of X. And they're like, well, this is human nature. And then other ones were basically arguing, well, maybe human nature is a little more subjective. And, like, that was the whole argument that's over, like, hundreds of years.
Which all of Gothic literature, the whole question is, like, what is human nature? Who are we? And what are we supposed to be doing with our time on Earth?
And
how are we supposed to be treating people? How are we?
I would argue that so much of it is like based on how we are socialized and like what we are taught is right and wrong, because so many different places have so many different definitions of what is obvious and how people
Yes.
should behave. And because there's no, I mean, aside from like, you know, don't kill people, don't infringe upon, do what you want as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, is kind of like the one universal theme. And that's because humans are social creatures, but that's like it. And I say social creatures, like that's the one thing I will say about humankind. Like as a social scientist, we are very tentative about saying things like that.
We're meant to be in community.
But that's
we are
all
creatures
we can,
who are
sure.
meant to be villagers in a village.
Absolutely.
And that is all.
That's all. Like, we can't say whether that's good or bad. We can't say whether like human nature can be neatly divided between male and female. We can say that we are social creatures and that's it. And that's it.
And that is the only definitive.
That is the
which
only
is
definitive.
So beautiful because it leaves everything open-ended. And I think that
Absolutely.
Gothic literature has this incredible way of sort of like taking a jackhammer to that and being like, okay, but what about this diamond? What about this piece of coal?
Yeah.
What if we smash them together?
And it like manifests this dialogue and it takes all these crazy shapes.
It's incredible.
It's great. I've really enjoyed this season.
This whole season has just been so fun.
It has.
And it's opened up so many lovely conversations, and like the comments that people leave in the chat are wild.
Yeah.
And I love how strong everyone feels about this because everyone is informed based on their own lived experience and the information that they have gathered up to the point where they're at. And everyone feels so strongly, and I love that.
It's true.
There are hills that everyone is willing to die on.
And interestingly, one of the things that I really enjoy about how many hills there are that people are willing to die on is that Gothic literature, yes, rose out of the 19th century, but we intentionally read books that are taking Gothic themes and making them more contemporary.
Yes.
And so people can like touch on it in that way as well. And they're like, oh, well, like, I get it, and now I have an opinion, and now I'm ready to talk. And I love that. I love the more people talking, the better.
Well, also for our Mexican Gothic episode, we chose books that were written within the last like 5 years. We have hundreds of years of literature to choose from, and we're like, Gothic literature is really like the most fun conversation anyone can have because everyone can have an opinion. And for the most part, opinions are open to interpretation.
Right. And also so much of it is based around the unknown. And so it's so fun when people have opinions about like how they interpret the unknown and how they deal with the unknown. It's great.
Yes. Well, and there's so much fear in so many aspects of different people's lives, in so many different places. And it's like, this is how I as an individual deal with fear. This is how I deal with things I am unfamiliar with. This is how I deal with a world that is scary to me. And we talk about all of the different man versus nature, man versus self, city versus country, rural versus urban.
Cosmopolitan even.
Yes, and we have, you know, colonists versus
indigeneity.
And we have all of these different conversations. And that's just one genre of literature.
Hot dog, you know, that's the best part. It's just one genre. Oh my gosh, I just know we're gonna have so much fun as this goes on. And I don't know how much time we have left. One of the things that I'm really enjoying also though is that starting with Gothic literature I think was a great choice.
Thank you.
Because it was Kate's idea. Because moving forward it really opens up a broader conversation about what constitutes sort of classic literature in general.
Yes.
You know, and it's like what made it a classic and like who was controlling the mechanisms of printing and buying and distribution and like whose opinions mattered more and like why does that make it a classic? Why was it taught? Who decided that it was taught this way? And since Gothicism starts with like asking questions of everything, like, you know, nothing is taken for granted.
Yes.
It opens up a lot of room for literary conversation. So this was a great like foundational episode or season. I think that was just no notes.
Thank you.
I'll drink to Kate.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. And I'm just so glad that when I asked, you said yes.
And it was funny too, because like I was at work when you asked.
Yeah.
You like came in and you're like, we should start a podcast. And I was like, what?
Well, and this idea came from, we should probably tell everyone that this idea came from, I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends and her daughter who is middle grade but reading at a high level. And you and I were both that child.
Those same kids,
a lot of our friends were that child. And my friend was that child. And because my friend was that child, she knows what can happen. And what can happen is children will read things because they are told it's a classic.
Right.
Having no additional information, no historical background, no context, and pick up books that are like reading level appropriate, but not necessarily age appropriate.
Mhm.
And then they get into all of these stories and they're like, well, that was a lot.
And they're a lot. And they get into this with a lot and, like, again, no context. You know,
No
one to
context.
connect it to the greater.
Well, and you don't have people being like, oh, yeah, that was a way that people think a long time ago.
Mhm.
Or that was something that they were pointing out or calling out. Or like the book that I read today, you have some really interesting concepts and ideas and themes. But if someone doesn't tell you, like, hey, the misogyny and the anti-Semitism
Yeah.
and like all of like the morality issues, like there's a lot going on
You
there.
end up just
You're
lauding
like,
it as a
oh,
classic,
well, I
yeah.
guess it's a classic. This is the way that we should just take it at face value.
And that is the problem, I think, with also the reproduction of culture. If you
Mhm.
take something the way you receive it, don't ask any questions, don't try to expand the context in which you received it, and then you say, well, they told me this was a classic, and so I'm telling you that it's a classic. And then if
Mhm.
somebody's like, well, let's critique the classic, suddenly it's like an attack on you, and it's an attack on the person who gave it to you.
And the establishment.
And your relationship to the text, and then it gets
Yes.
weird. But like, nuance is not a danger.
Nuance
Like,
is vital.
it's like so necessary.
If
and it
you don't
helps it
understand why
evolve.
something is important or why someone read it or wanted to teach it,
Right.
you miss a large portion of the value in the text
And
or the lack of value.
absolutely.
And so my friend came to me and she's like, a lot of the things that are age appropriate for my daughter
Mhm.
are really below the reading level. And the reading level are not like are conversations that we have to sit down and have as a family or
Right.
like I want to be able to facilitate this dialogue. And
Mhm.
she was like, what did you really enjoy when you were her age that you can just recommend without me having to worry about context or themes or, plot lines that are going to come up? And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I love that. And so
Yeah.
I went home and I started working on a list. And then I was like, well, and then what's another list of books that like would be good to have a conversation about? And then I came to you and I was like, what did you read? What did you enjoy?
Ooh.
And this list has like hundreds of books on
It's
it.
getting so big.
And we were having such fun conversations while we were creating this list and coming up with things. And both of our partners were like, you guys should do a podcast. And we're like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
You're like, ha ha ha.
And then I went home and I thought about it some
It's
more.
like, tee-hee, unless.
And I was like, no, we should do this podcast. We really
Well,
should.
because it's really, I think it's very exciting. It also brings in an element of intersectionality, of course,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I personally am of the belief system that I don't think, depending on who you are, you cannot opt into certain difficult conversations. They just sort of come to find
They're
you.
part of your life.
Exactly.
You don't have a choice. Someone's going to sit you down and be like, hey, this is the way the world works. You need to understand it. You need to guard yourself.
by necessity.
Yes.
And like for many kids, because we talk about like secondary socialization, it kind of kicks off at between 5 and 7 because that's when
Mhm.
abstract thought starts being formed.
Mm-hmm. It's when you develop a conscience.
And for some kids, by the time they can develop a conscience or abstract thought, like that conscience also manifests as like W.E.B. Du Bois's double consciousness. And you have to locate your identity in the context of how other people view you
Yes.
as well. And I think that's really interesting. So I'm all about like, if a kid is reading at an advanced level and they really want to read 1984, I'm like, here's the book. This is a critique on the Cold War. And here's the Cold War. And this is the Soviets.
But
and,
also the way that he treats women is deplorable. And we
Exactly.
you need to understand that.
And
right?
like, this is how all of these things work together. And then the kid ends up being like, this is a lot. And I'm like, you asked. You're here.
Yes. But also, like, I've had my Goodreads since I was very young.
Mhm.
And I went back and I, like, Crime and Punishment, 1 star.
Did you give it 1 star?
I gave it 1 star. Meanwhile, my father read so much Russian literature that he like could have minored in it because he had a professor who made it so accessible and so wonderful that he was like, I want to read every single one of these.
It is
And I
supposedly
am
the
really
pinnacle.
excited for when we do finally get to Russian literature
Yeah.
because I have my partner's whole family who read it in the native language and they're excited for that. My father's excited for that. That is several seasons from now. It's down the road, but we have several seasons, blocked out to an
Mhm.
extent.
Well, okay, so taking this a little bit further.
Yes.
When Trent and I were just in Chicago, we were
Mhm.
like looking around the city. We're looking around the city. We were thinking about moving there.
I'm gonna
And
miss you so much.
you can come visit. You can come visit. You should.
He's
come
been trying to
visit.
convince me to move with him, and it's just
I'm
not
trying to
happened.
convince so many people to come to Chicago with me. But we were there, and we were at this bookshop. It was a used bookstore, and the woman who worked there, the owner and proprietor of the bookshop, she was
Yeah.
awesome. I liked her a lot. And we got to yapping. I don't want to like drop the name of the bookstore or the name of the person because I'm about to say something not controversial, but kind of funny. Um, and she's talking, and we ended up getting into this conversation about this relationship with reading that a lot of people have right now,
Mhm.
specifically how people are less interested in like the book and the context and like the layered meanings of all forms of art, whether it's visual or performance or written. And they're kind of just interested in being seen reading. And so it's this concept of like
Very performative.
very performative. And she was saying this to me. She was like, I have people come in here who tell me that they have, one, not read a book in 8 years, or that they have never read a book cover to cover. And then they ask me if I have any Dostoevsky. And I'm like, what? And she's just like, I don't know why. She had no idea. She's like, I don't know why these kids keep asking for Dostoevsky. Like, they keep coming in here like every day. And like, she was near one of the many universities in Chicago. And one of the students comes in from this university, and she's like, I've got all these young kids who like had this really weird relationship with learning and this really weird relationship with like tests. And it was all sort of numbers and positivistic. And they didn't really care about like the meaningful relationship. And they come in here and they ask me for these like really difficult books. And they're like, oh, well, somebody said I should read Dostoevsky. And she's like, who told you that, and do they hate you? And so it's this really interesting sort of evolution of reading. And I think in speaking or in keeping with sort of like lending context to
Mhm.
the different levels at which people are reading and like the necessity of crime and punishment and making it accessible, I think this podcast is really important. I think like our podcast does not have to be the only way that people get exposed to this. I think if somebody gets inspired by this podcast, they should start a book club in their neighborhoods or something like that, where they
Yes.
just focus on making this stuff accessible. Because sure, you can read Crime and Punishment because it's supposed to be like the pinnacle, but like, why is it the pinnacle? Who says it's the pinnacle? What are their writing styles? What does that remind you of? Like, who else was writing at the time?
Yes.
There's so much to be said about like the beauty of work. And so maybe like that Dostoevsky may go from being 1 star to 5 stars, but like, please, like
I
the
mean,
Dostoevsky
I
itself.
did read it when I was like 12.
You know, and that's the thing.
And I did not have appropriate context, but also I'm like, this guy he needs to get over himself. 12-year-old me did not have a lot of sympathy for other people.
Hey, you know, I still don't have. I read a lot of writers who are just so self-insistent. I'm like, can you please move on? Like, can we keep it going? Like, they just love to read their own words sometimes. It kills me.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about Oscar Wilde loving everyone knowing how witty he was.
Right, right.
And there are whole chapters where you're like, okay, we can just, it's a repartee. The plot is not moving along. He
Right.
just likes people to know that he knows about things that make him seem cultured. And that's fine.
I mean, yeah, Oscar Wilde versus a 21st century HarperCollins editor. Would love to see it. Fight to the death. You know?
He comes in here with 100 commas and 1 period.
And they come in with a single red pen and a printed copy. And they're like, okay, let's do this.
Love to see it.
I would. I think, is this the end of
This is the
Season
end
1?
of season 1.
Well, this has been great.
This has been so much fun.
I've had, yeah. Any final thoughts? Should everyone read the picture of Dorian Gray?
I think everyone should read it because what they think they know about the story isn't the whole story.
Mm,
And I think it's really fun to discover. It's also like 215 pages. It's very quick.
yeah.
It is long sentences because of the aforementioned commas and lack of periods.
Mhm.
But it's so interesting. And I think that in a time which so many people are grappling with what is morality,
Mhm.
it is a really fascinating read. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's
It
a little
sounds fun.
dark.
I'm going to
It
read
comes
it.
with trigger warnings, but it is a good book.
Mhm.
And it's his only novel.
Which I didn't realize before you told me.
Yeah, if you're looking for like an intro primer Oscar Wilde story, though,
Mhm.
the importance of being earnest.
The National Theater production, if you can find it. I say pay for it. It's so worth it. It's such a good production.
It's a phenomenal story. My
Yeah.
brother gave it to me for Christmas one time.
Oh.
Books as a gift is truly what
Yeah,
I need in
It's
my
true.
life. Anyone can always give me a book.
I agree.
I'm so happy with that.
My partner is working on an annotated version of one of his favorite books to give me as a gift because I stole my mom's annotated copy of The Color Purple, and I will not give it back. That is mine now because I love reading
I
her
love the way
notes.
you love each other. Also, apologies to your mother and her missing copy of The Color Purple.
She's never getting that back. I'm so sorry, mother. I love you.
But should people read Jekyll and Hyde?
Well, if they've listened to the whole season, yeah. Like if you're here, if you're with us, if you've come this far, you should read it. Mostly because I really enjoyed it and it summarizes everything. If you have listened to every episode and our breakdowns of every other book that we have read, if you're going to read a book, yeah, read Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, it touches on everything we've talked about. It's really, really short. It's fun.
Yes.
Do the audiobook. I have no gripes against audiobooks. I say, yeah, yes.
Well, and we picked these books for our season finale because they do touch on and incorporate aspects of every single other episode
Yeah.
from this whole season of Gothic literature. So if you enjoyed the other stories, you will enjoy this.
Yeah.
You will have a good time and you
Guaranteed.
will see the through lines that we've been talking about.
It's good stuff. And
Thank you for listening.
And with that,
Thank you for following along. We will be back soon.
very shortly.
Yeah, give us a few weeks off, but we'll be here.
And my name is Drew. I'm a sociologist.
I'm Kate. I'm a media production specialist.
And this was Everyone Should Read.
Thank you so much for listening, and tell your librarian that we love them.